That is one big pile of shit.
What's happening, guys, and Happy New Year. Supernova here, back with another video, and holy fuck do we need to talk about Code Violet. For those of you who don't know, back in the early 90s, as a matter of fact, in August of 1999, Capcom released a game called Dino Crisis, which was essentially Resident Evil with dinosaurs. It's quite literally Resident Evil with dinosaurs. It has the same inventory management, the same puzzles, the same needing color-coded key cards to enter doors, but instead of zombies, you had dinosaurs, and it was actually a really good game. I mean, it was a good enough of an IP that Capcom actually made 3 main Dino Crisis titles with several spin-offs. So for decades now, people have been begging Capcom to remake Dino Crisis. I mean, shit, we got a remake of Resident Evil 2, a remake of Resident Evil 3, a remake of Resident Evil 4, still waiting on that actual remake of Resident Evil 1, because that would be amazing. But they've been begging Capcom to make a remake of Dino Crisis. And for a second, people thought that we were actually going to get that remake when we first saw the trailer for the game that we now know is Exoprimal. So no, in fact, we did not get a Dino Crisis remake. We got Exoprimal, which was absolute dog shit and a total cock tease for anyone that was hoping Capcom would give us Dino Crisis. So when we saw trailers for Code Violet, it looked very promising. We were like, holy shit, this looks a lot like Dino Crisis. As a matter of fact, many people were saying that it was basically a spiritual successor to Dino Crisis. Well, I'm here to tell you guys that if you were planning on buying this game, don't. Do not buy this piece of shit. Now, is it the worst game I've ever played? No, it is definitely not the worst game I've ever played. It's actually better than a lot of the worst games I've ever played. But at $50, it definitely is not the quality that you're expecting for a product at that price. And I think the first kind of red flags were when we learned that the team that were making the game would consisted of only 13 people. Not that 13 people can't make a great game, but compared to the size of the teams that someone like Capcom would use to make a Resident Evil or a remake of a Resident Evil, 13 is fuck all. It is nothing. But again, doesn't mean they can't make a great game. I think the next red flag came when the day before this game launched, there wasn't a fucking review in sight for this game. Whenever that happens, I'm like, that's a bit spooky, right? Because normally when people are proud of their game, they want reviews out way ahead of time. Like, I believe when God of War 2018 was coming out, PlayStation was like, oh, fucking send those review codes out, and the embargo for the reviews are like 2 weeks before the game releases. They knew. They were like, this game is a fucking banger. We want you to play our game and let the people know what a fucking banger this game is. So when you are approaching the release date of a game and there aren't any reviews, it's usually not a good sign. Not always, but in most cases, that's exactly what it is. And in this case, that's 100% what it was. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't fun to be had in this game, because I'll admit, I did enjoy some parts of the game, and the runtime I was hearing of 6 hours actually turned out to be closer to 9 for me. If it had been 6, I'd have been way more pissed off, I'll tell you that right now. But at 9 hours, I think that's a respectable time for a $50 game. The problem is that the 9 hours wasn't awesome, right? Like, I enjoyed shooting the dinosaurs. The gunplay is good. The guns feel good. But everything else in the game is just not great. Combine that with the fact that there are a lot of bugs and a lot of issues. It's also a lot harder than you would think. I had to replay the beginning section of the game multiple times, because in the early sections of the game, there are almost no save rooms and there aren't any checkpoints unless a cutscene just played. Then it seems that there's a checkpoint at the cutscene. But other than that, you need to find a save room. The biggest problem with that is it's not that the earlier sections of the game are difficult or anything, but because the game is so buggy, I was dying because of things that I could not see. For example, you begin to bleed out after getting hit by certain dinosaurs, I guess a certain number of times, but there is nothing to indicate that you're bleeding out. Now, I don't know if this is something that has since been patched, but I'll tell you, when I played it, I'd be playing, I'd be, focusing really well on not getting hit. I'd maybe get hit a little bit, and you've got a little band on your arm that tells you your health, and I'd be at like 93% health or 84% health. It wasn't going down. There wasn't any beeping. There wasn't anything. So I'd be like, okay, time to move further, try to eventually get to a save room. And then Violet would just fucking die. And it would say, I bled out to death. And I'm like, well, how the fuck am I supposed to know that I'm bleeding if the game doesn't tell me that I'm bleeding? So what this forced me to have to do throughout the entire remainder of the game is anytime I got hit by a dinosaur, didn't matter if he just barely fucking touched me, if he coughed on me and I had a tourniquet, I'm using it. So I was being forced to use resources that I may not necessarily have had to use, because I didn't want to take a chance that I try to advance through this map and then die because Violet fucking bled out. So I either have to use a tourniquet, or worse, if I didn't have a tourniquet, I had to use a full med kit, which gives you a huge amount of healing and stops the bleeding, even if I was only at 97% health, because I didn't want to take the chance that I would progress through the map and then die of fucking bleeding. A similar issue would arise when it came to being poisoned. I would get hit by dinosaurs, like a Dilophosaurus spitter, and not know that I was poisoned because there was nothing in the game to indicate to me that I was being poisoned. I will say that an update did happen last night, and now when I get hit by a Dilophosaurus, my entire screen turns green, and I know that I'm poisoned and I have to use an antidote to get the green off the screen. But I still didn't see anything happen to my health. So I don't know if the poison is supposed to hurt me over time or if it's just supposed to make the screen green. I don't know. It would make more sense that you take damage over time from the poison, but even after this update, I never took damage over time, or at least it didn't show me I was taking damage over time, but the screen is green, which was an update from when I was playing originally. So at least they kind of fixed that, kind of, I guess. But when I'm getting hit, there's still nothing to indicate that I'm bleeding or bleeding out. So all the way up to the final seconds of the game, I was still making sure I was using med kits or tourniquets every time I got touched. Luckily, by that time in the game, I had so many saved in my general storage box, which is just like Resident Evil. You've got your regular inventory, and then you have like a storage container in the save rooms that you can put a bunch of extra shit in. So I had tourniquets and antidotes and medikits saved up in there. So if I got hit by something, I would, use whatever I had, and then I would run back to the save room and then put another one back in my inventory. So I didn't go anywhere without a medkit on me, without a tourniquet on me, and without an antidote on me. And if I used one, I would use it, go back to the nearest save room, which later on in the game, they are a lot. They're all over the place later on. It's just really getting out of that first section of the game that's a bitch. But yeah, I would use what I had, go back to the save room, grab whatever I had in my inventory, and then stock myself back up and then continue. And I was able to make it through the rest of the game like that. But like I said, the bugs and the glitches, they really soured the experience of the game, which, man, there's potential there, man. Like, I'm playing it and I'm like, fuck, if only Capcom made this game, or even if the guys that did the Dead Space remake, if they decided to make a Dino Crisis-esque game, they would fucking kill it, because the game is fun. And the gameplay, you can see that it has a great foundation. The execution just wasn't quite there. It's also laughable, the reason why this game was a PlayStation 5 exclusive. I guess the developers said that they didn't want to put the game on PC because they were afraid of modders sexualizing the character. Dude, there's like 30 outfits for this bitch, and most of them are sexualizing the character. So I don't quite buy that reason for why it's a PS5 exclusive. Also, I wish they would have spent less time coming up with the sexy outfits for this girl that don't do anything. They're also not present in cutscenes, because none of the cutscenes are in real time. So you've got that weird thing where you're playing a game dressed as a cowgirl with pigtails, and then you get to a cutscene and she's wearing her regular hair and the regular armor suit, whatever the fuck it's called that you get in the game. So I wish they would have spent a lot less time making sexy outfits, and instead maybe making a outfit upgrade system, kind of like in Dead Space, where you would, take your suit and mount it up into the fucking thing, and it would upgrade your capabilities and upgrade the visual look of the armor. I think that would have been a far better use of their time than making bullshit sexy outfits that don't do anything for you. Also, there was a lot of talk about how this was an Unreal Engine 5 game that's using Lumen for its lighting. I'll tell you right now, whatever the fuck they use, it's not impressive. It doesn't look amazing. The graphics in the game aren't amazing. The character models aren't amazing. The dinosaurs don't look amazing. Nothing in the game looks amazing. The sound design for the guns is probably about the only decent sound design. Voice acting is wooden. There are, in the cutscenes, there's like no music, so it's just weird, quiet dialogue with no ambient sounds or music. The story, not terrible. It's an interesting premise, but its execution, just like everything else, is fucking horrendous. And by the time I got to the end, I couldn't believe what the end fight was and how fast it ended. And it was so abrupt. And it left me asking more questions than I had answers for, because there were things I was seeing in the game, things that they like would highlight in cutscenes that there was no fucking answer to. There is no explanation as to why this woman was able to do certain things. It's, again, you could see that a great game was there. You could see that an amazing, awesome game was there. Had a more talented, more capable team made it. It's what I hate when I play some of these lower budget games where you're like, fuck man, this game, if you know, insert name of really good dev here, had made it instead, this thing could have been fucking cool. Unfortunately, it was made by Team Kill Media. I don't know who the fuck they are, but clearly they were in over their head when they made this game. While I appreciate the effort in giving us a game that we've clearly been asking for, yet Capcom feels that they just don't want to give us, right? Like Capcom's like, oh, you want Dino Crisis? Cool. Fuck you. Here's Exoprimal, a dog shit game. You know, so while I appreciate the fact that they tried to give us something that was Dino Crisis-esque, at the end of the day, it just did not deliver. It also has a terrible, terrible map system. It's just, there's nothing great about this game other than maybe the gunplay. Like I said, the gunplay feels good, but everything else, the puzzles are brain dead. There's just things that don't make any fucking sense. Like at one point, supposedly this guy had fallen into a meat grinder, right? You see in these data pads that this dude had fallen into a meat grinder, and evidently you need this dude's thumbprint to open a door. So you find like where the meat grinder kind of drains out to, and when you go up into that room, there's a completely intact upper torso hanging out of like a fucking pipe. And then you grab his thumbprint and it's like, didn't this motherfucker get thrown into a fucking meat grinder? Why has he got a fucking perfectly intact upper torso? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. A lot of shit in the game doesn't make a lot of sense. Cutscenes don't make any sense. There was another cutscene where Violet's with this guy and this other girl, and they're running from some dinosaurs, and the car gets kind of flipped over. And the girl is trapped under the car, and the guy is trying to lift up the car to save her. And Violet just kind of like really slowly gets down on her knees and just kind of stares at the girl. And it's like, bitch, help him lift the fucking car. And this is supposedly like her best friend. That's what she says, right? She says that she calls this girl her best friend. And instead of helping to fucking lift the car up off of her, she just kind of like blankly stares at her while the dude's trying to fucking save her life. It's just, it makes no fucking sense. Like, just to give you guys an idea of how low quality this fucking game is. This right here is the type of shit that passes for environmental storytelling in this fucking game. Just a fucking stack of completely generic torsos and limbs and shit in a bathroom stall. Why? Who the fuck knows? What dinosaurs stack these things in this fucking stall like this? Doesn't make any sense, but here's a fucking bathroom stall just full of fucking random generic ass torsos. There's also randomly, for whatever fucking reason, like animals hidden around the maps for some reason. Like in one toilet, I didn't take a picture of it, but one toilet, there was like a fucking cat head sticking out of the fucking toilet, just like a picture of a cat's head. Um, at one point, I was like walking through this giant log, and there was this fucking goose just floating in midair. Again, a 2D image of a fucking goose just floating in midair, glowing. Like it was glowing super bright. I thought maybe it was a collectible or something, but no, it's just this fucking 2D image of a goose floating in midair in the middle of this fucking log. And like you could tell it's a 2D image because as you walked around it, it would just spin to constantly face you. It was a 2D image of a real fucking goose or duck or whatever the fuck it was. And then there was another later on, like right before the final boss fight of the game, just hidden behind this fucking pillar underneath this stairway. Why? Who the fuck knows? Evidently the people at Team Kill's idea of a fucking good time was hiding random fucking animals all over the goddamn game. Like someone at Team Kill was like, bro, you know it'd be fucking hilarious, bro. We'll just put this fucking goose, this fucking 2D goose right behind this fucking log. Dude, they're gonna think it's hilarious. Like, I don't fucking understand it, but evidently this is something that Team Kill thought would be funny, I guess. Just another one of the wonky fucking things about this game. Yeah, I mean, I can shit on this game all day because there's lots to shit on, but this is really just a PSA for you guys, a public service announcement. If you were in any way, shape, or form interested in this game, thinking about buying it, thought it looked good, it's not worth buying. It's not good. And I'm not saying don't buy it ever, but don't buy it at $50. If this game ever hits like $30 maybe, like even at $30, it's kind of a tough sell for me, but $30 is far more palatable than $50 for what this game is. But if it goes to 30, or hell, if PlayStation puts it on PS Plus one day and you get it for nothing, play it then. But please, I can't allow anyone to spend $50 on this game. It's just not worth it. It's not the game that you're thinking it is. It's not the game that the trailers make it look like it is. Yeah, if I had to score it, it's a 3 or 4 out of 10. I hardly ever score games that low, but it just it misses everywhere. Gunplay feels good, great. Everything else is a miss. Level designs miss. Puzzles miss. Cutscenes miss. Like, let me show you what passes for like an epic cutscene in this fucking game. It's pretty bad. So cutscenes miss, dialogue miss, voice acting miss, story kind of cool, but ultimately there is no pay at the end, the delivery at the end, which when you find out kind of what happened, it's like, oh, that's what happened. Okay, there was a little kind of bit of a twist at the end. I was like, oh shit, I didn't see that coming. And I will, to their credit, say that the way that they introduced the twist or make the twist known was a kind of cool way that they did it, where I was like, oh, wow, they actually did something kind of cool. But outside of that, it's just miss after miss after miss after miss, and I couldn't help the entire time I was playing thinking in my head, fuck, I wish someone else made this game. Like I said, I wish either Capcom made it, or the team that did the remakes of Dead Space, or hell, any other big-time studio. The studio of 13 people, they just didn't have it. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's your money. Do what you want. Spend it on what you want. If you want to buy this game, if you're dead set on buying this game, then go ahead and buy it. Don't let the things I'm saying to you make you not buy it if you are dead set on buying it. I'm just telling you that as someone who's trying to look out for your wallet, that I personally wouldn't recommend this game to anyone at $50. I mean, the first day I legitimately was like, fuck, I wish I could refund this thing. I really did. But like I said, there is a little bit of fun to be had there. Running around shooting the dinosaurs, there is some enjoyment to be had. It's not all shit, but it's mostly shit. So, like I said, just my public service announcement to you guys. And that's all I got for you guys in this one. Anyway, that's the video, guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Have you played Code Violet? What did you think of the game? Were you looking at playing Code Violet? Let me know down in the comments. And as always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And I will catch you motherfuckers on the next Supernova.